Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining in this morning. First, let's just double check the audio, and please let us know if you can hear us loud and clear. We'll be using the question panel on the right side of your screen, and you can use this panel to send us all of your questions through the webinar. So first, if you can let us know on the right side of your screen, you have a question panel, and if you can let us know if you can hear us loud and clear. Mr. David, thank you so much. All right. So we're just going to wait a couple of minutes for everyone to join in, and we'll be starting in about 2 minutes. Mr. Ron, thank you. Good morning, Mr. Willing. Let us know if you can hear us now. Thank you, Mr. Willing. Now you can hear us perfectly. All right. So let's check if we can start in just 1 second. Well, a quick reminder that this webinar will be recorded and sent to your email right after the webinar. Also, we upload all of our videos into our YouTube channel. This is AppCom USA. So if you want to review any of the webinars that we have through the week, just go into YouTube AppCom USA and you'll find our AppCom channel. So I think now, Jimmy, well, we're ready. So everyone, welcome to our webinar, Video Intercom and Access Control of the Best Quality with DOORKING. A quick reminder that this webinar will be recorded, and I would like to welcome Jimmy Segura from DOORKING, who will be our presenter for today's webinar. Please send us all of your questions through the webinar, and we'll be using the question panel that we just used, that is on the right side of your screen. And at the end of the webinar, we'll have a Q&A panel to answer all of your questions. So for those of you just joining in, welcome, Jimmy, and now we're ready to start.
Good morning, Victor. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Hope everybody's doing well this morning. So let's go ahead and start. So we're going to start today with one of our new systems of video entry systems, the 2112. And then after this, we'll be talking about our new actuator swing gate operator, the 6006. So we're very excited about this new 2112. It's something new. Let me skip some of the stuff because I use this for the webinars as well. It's a brand new system for DOORKING, a new way of doing things for us. It's our new video entry system. Right now it's residential, but we are looking and working towards getting a commercial version of this. But it's a video entry system that allows the homeowner to be able to receive a video call and grant access to the person that's visiting their house or their property. We have two different mounting options, our traditional surface mount with the curved black cover and the flush mount that goes in the wall. We can do video or voice calling, and we can define those per person, per individual phone number. So I can receive a video call on my smartphone or tablet, and you can receive a phone call on your home phone. So you can do both, and you can define those per phone number. All right. There is an app that you can use, and you get control of the different relays that the system has. It is a cloud-based programming system, so you would need to go to the website to do the programming. And there's a lot of tools and functionality within the website for your system as well. And we'll go through this as we go through the webinar. It can do broadcast calling. Broadcast calling means that the system can call up to 4 phone numbers at one time. Okay, you can program for cell phones or a combination of cell phones and home phones. When you press the button or when you punch in a directory code, it'll ring all those phones. Whoever picks up the call first gets the line, the other 3 hang up. Okay, you can set it for 2 numbers, 3, a maximum of 4 for broadcast calling. Entry codes are settable to either 4 or 5-digit codes. It's up to the homeowner on how many digits they want the codes to be. We can see the relay status and can do relay control through the website and also through the app. And I'll show you the app in a little bit. And we have traditional hold open schedules and entry code time zones. Okay. The system comes standard, ready for a network connection, right? Again, it's a cloud-based system, so it does need internet, right? The homeowner can provide a network connection, whether that's a hardwired Cat6 or Cat5 cable, or wirelessly through wireless access points. If we can't get network to the system, then we do have an optional cell connection that we sell. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. The system requires power, right? You can either be powered up by a 16.5 volt AC transformer or 12 volt DC transformer. And it has 3 relay outputs, so you can control up to 3 different access points. So it's got a Cat5 for network connection, or we would need a cellular dongle or cellular module, right? It's a USB device that we sell. If you have the surface mount with that black cover is plastic, you can use an internal cell device. If you have the flush mount, or if you need to get better cell signal on that cell device, we do sell an external cell kit, all right, in a box that can sit up high, and there's a USB cable that comes down to the board. It's got a maximum of 10 directory codes. When you need a directory code is when the system is calling phone numbers. So if you program a phone number for me, I will need a directory code. If you're programming just a 4 or 5-digit entry code to a person, that doesn't need a directory code. Okay, so only when you have phone numbers that the system is calling is when you need to use a directory code. But you also have a maximum of 25 entry codes for the system. Now again, this is the residential unit. Once we have the commercial unit, then these numbers are gonna go up, right? We're gonna increase the capacity on the commercial unit. The website for registration and for programming is DKS 2112. All right, the owner of the system will need to log into here and register the system. And then whoever is going to be doing programming will need to go to the same website to be able to do programming on the system. Registration process is pretty straightforward. You fill in the information, right? You create a username and password, and then you click on sign up. You'll receive a follow-up email to verify the registration, and you're good to go. So everybody that's going to be going to this website, whether they're the owner of the system or programming the system, or as a technician, helping the homeowner troubleshoot a system, they would need to have a registration, right, and not a username created. All right, I'll talk about how the username comes into play in a little bit when it comes to seeing the system online. So for the owner, whoever is going to be paying for the system, they need to go a few extra steps, right? So they create their username and password. Now they need to add their system. They need to actually register or activate their system. All right. So when they go to they click on the link that says manage systems, they click then on add a system. Inside of the box, there's a 9-digit alphanumeric code. The website is going to ask for that code. Click the link that says add a system, and the system is now added to the server, and it's now registered. Okay. Then you can go ahead and start setting up the system. This is where you set up whether you want 4 or 5-digit codes. You can name the system. You can set how long, relay 1 is going to trigger for, how many seconds relay 2, etc. And this is also where you set your time zone, right? And you can name the different relays. And once you're done with that, you click submit, and the system is online. That's if it has a network connection. If the system has a cell device, the cell device has a 5-digit SIM ID, we need to activate that. Okay, so we go to under service, we click on Ethernet, and then we go ahead and change the SIM ID. Type in the SIM ID and we activate it. And you should see the provider and the SIM ID, and then it should show active. Okay, once the system is active and online, then we can start managing who is going to have access to that system for programming, right? This is for the technician that's going to be on site for help, or whoever else is going to be doing programming. We need to manage those users. All right, we click on add allowed user, type in their user ID that they've created, right? We went through that registration process, and click add. So now the owner of the system can log on to the website and program and do control, and also whoever they've given access to the system. Any questions so far, Victor?
Let me check real quick. At the moment, we don't have any questions, Jimmy, but we invite everyone to send us your questions through the question panel that you have on the right side of your screen. And please send us any question or comment from the product that Jimmy is showing us.
Victor,
So
when
we
you
can
say
continue.
question panel, do you mean the chat panel?
There's also a question panel for everyone, and I'll be happy to send you the question. So there's one from Mr. Rod. So what happens when the internet what happened when internet is online?
When the internet is not there?
Yes.
Okay, very good question. I'm actually going to cover that in a little bit, but I'll quickly answer it. The system is going to try to reconnect, and for that, it'll go through a reboot process up to 3 times to try to reestablish a network connection. If it doesn't see a network connection after the 3rd try, then it'll stop for a few hours. I think it's 2 hours, and then attempt again. But if the internet comes up within that time, then the system will be able to see that and get back online. During the time that it doesn't have internet and it's not going through the reboot process, entry codes are going to work. Any hold schedules are going to work. Okay. While it's going through the reboot process, nothing is going to work. Okay. So during those the 3 attempts that it's going to do to reestablish a network connection, nothing is going to work on the system. And it does take a few minutes for that process to finish. Okay.
Thank you, Jimmy. And another question from Mr. Fabian. It only works with the SIM that they provide, or it can work with any carrier?
It only works with our SIM because we have a, a tunnel or a direct connection to our server through an APN. So we need to have that connection through our cell device, through our cell SIM.
Thanks, Jimmy. And one last question about this product is, if you lose internet connection, the door remains open?
The door is going to stay in whatever state it was. So if the door is locked, then it'll stay locked. The system doesn't unlock when it loses network connection, and it just tries to reestablish that connection, like I mentioned. And during that process, nothing works until after the third attempt. Right after the third attempt, then you have that window where entry codes work. The door is going to unlock with an entry code. If you have any hold schedules, the door will unlock during the hold schedule time.
All right, thanks so much, Jimmy. And now we can continue.
Okay, thank you, Victor. So next, we're going to look at how to program the system, how to add a resident, how to add a phone number, how to add an entry code. All right, so when you log in, you'll see the link that says Manage Systems. That's always the first thing you'll see. Click on that. Let me get back here. And then for the system you want to program, you click on Edit under Residents. That'll show you the list of the current residents that are in there, but there's also the link to add a new resident. So you click on Add a Resident. And you get all the fields that you can fill in. The name field, the directory code field. Again, you only need that when you're adding a phone number for that resident, for that person. An entry code field, and what the entry code is going to trigger, what relay it's going to trigger. You can individually check a particular relay for a particular entry code. All right. And then you click on Add Phone Number. And this is where you type in the phone number for the resident. You select what type of phone call it's going to make, whether it's a voice phone call or a video call. You want to make sure you select the right one. And then you click Save, right? You want to click Save for all of the fields that you're making changes to. You can, when you add multiple phone numbers to that one directory code, it's going to look something like this, right? You're going to see two phone numbers listed under the one directory code, and this is broadcast calling. All right, this is how it's going to look, and you can go up to 4 phone numbers. Whenever the phone number is set for a video call, we need to send an app code. The server sends an app code to that person's cell phone as a text message, and it'll have a 6-digit code. All right, and I'll show you what that 6-digit code is for in a little bit. So this is a demo list of residents and phone numbers, right? Let's see, so East Coast RSMs has 4 video calls set up, so that's broadcast calling. Jack Whitmire is the boss, so he has his own directory. He, you know, when you hit 700 as a directory, he gets the phone call only. All right, there's some here that don't have phone numbers, right? I'm not super important here, Jimmy. I don't have a phone number, I just have an entry code. All right, and notice I don't have a directory code either. So all the programming must be done on the website, dks2112.com. We cannot do any programming through the keypad. So this is something different for DOORKING. All of our other phone systems, we can go to the keypad and program an entry code, program a phone number, program a name, right? We cannot do that with the 2112. We want you to do all the programming on the website, okay? And again, it does require an internet connection for programming. You can go on the website, you can program the system, you can program the database, but if the 2112 doesn't have a network or doesn't have internet at the time, it won't update, right? It's gonna wait for the 2112 to get internet in order for the server to then update to 2112. So this is what I was talking about when the system loses internet, so I'm not going to spend too much time here. Right, it tries 3 times to reconnect, and if it doesn't, it'll wait 2 hours for it to attempt go through that reboot process again. From the website, you can do door control. So you can also see the 3 relays, and you can activate the relays as needed. You can hold open the relays. You have full door control from the website. Also, something different, volume control. There are no potentiometers on the board to increase or decrease the micro speaker volume like we do on our other systems. You have to come on the website and increase or decrease the mic and speaker volume from the volume control window. Okay. And then, traditional hold open schedules. There's a hold open schedule page for that. Any questions, Victor, before we move on to the app, the phone app?
Yes, there's one last question. Is there a code to open the door in an emergency?
So there is no dedicated emergency code, right? You can program an entry code and it'll work 24/7 if you set it for no restriction, right? Because you can restrict entry codes to work from a certain time to a certain time on a certain day of the week. But you can program an entry code that works 24/7. And, whenever you punch in that code, the gate is going to open, right? The only thing that's going to stop it from working is if it's going through that reboot process when it loses internet. But other than that, a code that's set up for 24/7 is always going to work.
Thanks, Jimmy. And let me check if we have any other question. How can the firefighters enter in an emergency?
So for any telephone entry system, and definitely for DOORKING, I'm not sure for other manufacturers, the emergency egress, whether that's for fire department, police, ambulance, that's really dependent on in the area you're in or the area the system is going in. And it typically, whatever device the emergency vehicles use is typically connected directly to the door or directly to the gate operator. It never goes through a phone system. So you want to look at your local building codes and fire codes to see what device you need for that particular door or gate and where it needs to connect. I can tell you it's not going to connect to the 2112. It's going to go directly to the gate operator or to the locking hardware for the door.
Thank you, Jimmy. And that was the last question, so now we can continue.
Okay, thanks, Victor. So the Resident app. You can get this app on the Apple Store or Google Play Store. Just type in DKS 2112 Resident and download it. You have it. You'll have it on the phone. When you first launch the app, it's going to ask you for a cell phone number. Type in your cell phone number. Okay. When you click on login, the next thing it's going to ask you for is for that 6-digit code. Remember I mentioned that a little bit ago when we were programming the phone number, where we click on send for the app code. If the person doesn't have the app code from when their phone number was registered or was programmed, there's a link there that says need the PIN texted to you. You tap that and you'll get a second text message with the PIN, right? Every cell phone is going to have one PIN, right? So as a technician, you might have a couple of properties that you work with that you might have your phone number programmed in, or a homeowner might have multiple homes with a 2112, right? And his cell phone can receive calls from both systems or from multiple systems that he owns. Then there's one app code for all of these systems because it's really tied to the cell phone. All right. Once you type in the 6-digit code, you click submit, and the app is set up. The app is ready to go. Now you'll be able to see all the systems that your phone number is programmed into. Okay. And you have full control of those systems as far as granting access and being able to access the video, right? So you can receive video calls, you can grant or deny access right off the app. Again, you can see the 3 relays and the status of those relays and be able to control them. You can also initiate a video call right from the app. You don't have to wait for somebody to call you from the system to be able to see the video. You can initiate it right off the app. And then at the top there, that's where you will see the other systems that your phone number is programmed into. Just tap that and you'll see a list of the systems, and you can individually control each one of these systems. One setting that you can change if you want to. I like keeping any phone calls or video calls coming into my cell phone in portrait mode. So you can change that, right? It comes default as landscape mode. You can change that to portrait mode. So all the programming is shared in real time. As you click save, right, as when we showed you how to, going through the programming process for phone numbers, as you're clicking save, the server is automatically updating the system. Again, as long as the system is online, right? So there is no send data anymore. Again, that's something different than our traditional telephone entry systems, right? There is no send data. You click save, the server automatically updates the 2112. Okay. So the 2 options for cell providers is T-Mobile and AT&T. Okay. We actually just brought on AT&T late last year. We had T-Mobile since we started, and then we were able to add AT&T as a second provider. The minimum network speed, if the homeowner is providing the internet to that system, is 3 megabits for up and 3 megabits down. That's the minimum internet speed required. So these are the port numbers. The 2112-080 is the surface mount. That's the one with the black plastic box. And the internal cell kit is 2112-150. The flush mount 2112 is -087. And the external cell kit for that is 2112-152. All of the systems have a residential monthly fee of $19.95 a month. This is for the cloud hosting and for the video calling. So all of the 2112s that go out the door have a $19.95 a month fee. If the system requires one of our cell options, again, not having a network connection from the homeowner, then you'll have a monthly fee for either T-Mobile or AT&T, whichever provider the homeowner wants to go with. T-Mobile is $15.95 a month, and AT&T is $19.95 a month. That's a typo there, $19.95 a month. So at most, the system is going to cost about $40 a month. And that's it. The rest of this presentation is more of the technical troubleshooting. And Victor said we can bypass that for now. So Victor, do we have any questions? You want to open it up?
Yeah, we do have some clients that are in Latin America, and they're asking us, like, I'm outside of the USA, can I still use the cell option?
So it depends. You know, AT&T is available in Mexico. I personally haven't done testing in Mexico. The times that I've been in Mexico, something's happened where I either didn't have a 2112 or didn't have the SIM, you know, for the cellular device for the 2112. So I haven't done testing. I don't know if Paul knows of any testing with the 2112 in Mexico. Paul is on the line. He's one RSM in Texas.
Hello,
But
everybody. I currently don't, Jimmy.
okay, Victor, I can ask our Mexico rep. His name is Henry, to see if he's done testing, and I can relay that information out to you, and you can distribute it to your guys in Latin America or in Mexico. So right now, we're pretty sure we can do a network connection, especially now that we can in Mexico, because in Mexico we can do 10-digit dialing, right? In other parts of Latin America, I think the dialing phone numbers is either a 12 or 13-digit process. I'm not too sure. But I want to say the internet, if providing a network connection to the 2112 and being able to call 10-digit numbers or the app that way is going to work. But again, let me get that information from Henry, and I'll also include that in the email.
Thank you, Jimmy. And yes, we'll be sending that information to your email, Mr. Ron, so that way you can know exactly if this is going to work. And this is for the Caribbean, for Aruba. But yeah, we'll check with Mr. Henry, and then we'll send you the information.
Okay, perfect. I'll make a note of that it's in the Caribbean. Okay. Anything else?
That was the last question. Now we can continue.
Okay. So let me move on to the 6006. This is our new actuator for a residential swing gate. All right. So the 6006 was designed in-house by DOORKIng engineers and developers. You know, before this this model, we used to get actuators coming in from Italy, and we would make changes to it to be able to work with our control board. And we learned a lot about what we liked and what we didn't like about those particular units, and we designed our own with all that in mind. So we have all the good things about those operators, and we eliminated all the bad things about those operators. And we're very happy with the product that we have on this. All right, so it's a residential, and it's really a light duty commercial system. It can cycle more than traditional actuators. Okay, and we'll go through the specs in a little bit. And it is a 24-volt DC motor inside. The control board can either be a solar system or an AC input system. So we can cycle up to 25 cycles per hour, right? That's a little bit higher than traditional actuators, right? We can do 115-volt input to the control board, or it can be solar. The gate capacity, there's really a table that we have to go with. On a long gate, 18-foot gate, the maximum weight for that gate would be 600 pounds. As you're decreasing the length, the size of the gate, you can increase the weight of the gate. All right. So, if you have a gate and you know the specs for it, let us know and we can help you with to see if the 6006 is a good option for that. The motor's got a direct gear drive to the output shaft, right? We have internal motor filters to eliminate any noise from the motor getting to the control board. The entire housing is aluminum, so it's lightweight and very strong and durable. There is a key release, right? It uses our traditional DOORKIng key to be able to release that and be able to manually move the gate. The screw drive is Teflon coated, so it doesn't need any lubrication. Okay, and that's going to reduce maintenance quite a bit. And then at the bottom of the operator, we have the limit assembly. That's where you would adjust your limits. The actuator can actually run with the cover off. So in the field, if a tech wants to see what's going on, the gate is running and all of a sudden it starts to hang up and starts to jam a bit or starts to jump, we can take the cover off. There's only about 8 screws on the bottom there, 8 or 10 screws at the bottom there that we can take off. Take the cover off and we'll be able to see the travel or that traveler move back and forth on the shaft, on the output shaft. So you'll be able to see the shaft, all the bearings, the limit assembly, the motor, you'll be able to see all of that. And all of these are field replaceable, right? With our old actuators, if some internal part had to be replaced, you'd have to send the whole operator in for us to replace. All of these parts for this actuator are field replaceable, and each part has a part number etched onto it, so you'll know exactly what part you need. It's a simple design. The rear bracket is offset a bit, about 1/4 of an inch, or from the front bracket. All right. And our board, the control board, can handle 2 gate operators in primary, secondary mode. Our 4302 that's our control board for it. We've had this board out for well over 20 years. All right, this is what we've been using for all of our DC actuators going back a long time. So we know it's a tried and true control board. It's going to last a long time. It's got the slow start and slow stop, right, in order to avoid the gate whipping when it's opening or closing when it comes to the stop. It's got an overlap feature, so if you have a biparting swing gate system, right, you can have it overlap where the first gate opens up and then the second gate, and then the second gate closes and then the first gate. So you have that overlap feature. It comes with a DOORKIng photo eye, retroreflective photo eye. And it also comes with a DOORKIng receiver with 2 microplus transmitters. Okay, all of the new 6006 systems come with these 2. Any questions on that, Victor?
At the moment, we don't have any other question from this product, but we invite everyone to send us a question or a comment about the information that Jimmy is presenting us. So We'll leave that those questions by the end of the webinar for the Q&A. Well, now we have 2 questions.
Okay.
Up to how many controls can we add?
How many controls can we add? What do you mean by controls?
He
Can we
means
get a
key
clarification?
fobs.
Key fobs, remotes.
Correct.
So that's determined by the receiver you're going to be using, right? If you're using remotes, the receiver is what determines how many remotes you can have. Our receiver, if I remember correctly, in micro plus mode, which using the black remotes, I want to say it's 100 in its standalone mode. All right, it has the capacity for 100 codes. If we program the receiver to work in what's called micro click mode and use the gray remotes, I want to say we have capacity for 5,300 remotes. Again, this is for a receiver in standalone mode, right? Where the relay on the receiver is what you're using to open the gate. If the receiver is connected to an access control system via weekend, then the access control system is what determines how many remotes you can have.
Thank you, Jimmy. And another question, and well, let me know if you can answer this question. What is the 90-degree open time?
Oh, that's a good question. Paul, do you know? Very rarely is there a question that I don't know.
Yeah, for timing, I don't know the timing.
I can get that for you, Victor, and you can distribute that.
Thank you, Jimmy. I'll be sending you the questions that we have from the webinar, and that way we can send the information to our clients. So
Yes.
thank you, everyone, for sending us your questions, and we can continue now, and at the end, we'll have another Q&A just for your questions.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So I mentioned that we can do a solar panel for this system. We say when we convert or when we have this system in solar mode, there's a zero current draw when the gates are closed. Okay, and that saves a lot in your battery capacity and how long the system can actually run when it's not really drawing current when the gate is fully closed. And I'll talk about how that works. All right. So when do you need the system to be powered up? When you want it to open, right? When you want it to run. When do you need your reversing edges, reversing devices to be functional, to be powered up? When the gate is running, right? The only thing you need to be powered up is your opening device, whether that's a receiver, a keypad, right? Whatever's going to make the device open, that's the only thing that needs power. All your loops in the ground, all that, the loop detectors, all that doesn't have to be powered up when the gate is fully closed. So when you connect a low current draw device, an opening device, a low current draw receiver, a low current draw keypad, the most you'll be drawing, if you're using ours, is 0.1 milliamp of power, just to power up those opening devices. The control board is powered down, all of your loop detectors are powered down, your reversing edges or reversing photo eyes are powered down, right? When you hit that remote, everything powers up. Now the gate is going to run. All right, that's how we get that zero current draw or near zero current draw when the gate is fully closed. It's only drawing about 0.1 milliamp of power. That's something very different from other other manufacturers. You don't need to have a huge battery system with huge solar panels to keep all of those things powered up overnight, because our system powers all of those things down when the gate is fully closed. All right, so again, when the gate is keyed open, whether that's through a remote or through a keypad code, that's when everything powers up. And zero current draw when the gate is fully closed. These are the different options for the different size batteries, right? You have the control board with 18 amp hour batteries. It comes with 2. And you have the control board with 35 amp hour batteries. It needs 2. You can also buy just the board with the enclosure with no batteries if you have your own battery and solar panel system that you want to incorporate. So these are how the boxes look. You have the space at the bottom of the board for your batteries and the different size solar panels for the different size batteries. As always, we always encourage the installers, whoever's going to be working with the system, to read the manual. There's a lot of good information there, specifically for wiring and for the mounting brackets in order to get that correct. Right, whenever you buy a new system, you'll have your arm, your operator, either 1 or 2. You know, if you're doing biparting, you'll have 2, and your control box. It'll come with the photo eye and the receiver with transmitters. And then you want to look at your mounting dimensions, where these brackets have to go. And everything comes from the center of the hinge for the gate. That's where all the measurements come from. All right, so our rear bracket, we want it to be 8.5 inches back and 7 3/4 inches forward. That's the ideal position. There's some flexibility within that, but you don't want to deviate too much from that, maybe 1/2 inch here and there. All right, that's the ideal dimension. And then 35.5 inches out, we should have the bracket on the gate. Okay, it comes with both the front and rear bracket. So you would weld the brackets to the gate post and the rear bracket, and then the front bracket to the gate. So this is an installation for opening the gate to the inside. You have the operator on the inside of the property, and that opens the gate towards the inside. You can also fabricate a steel plate where you have the operator on the inside, but it pushes the gate out if you want the gate to open outward. Okay, just remember that the gate operator will be in the driveway in this setup, in this configuration. Again, the rear bracket and front bracket are offset, and it's 2 1/4 inches. Right, so if you're replacing an older DOORKING operator, you will need to make some adjustments to this rear bracket. You will need to move that up 2 1/4 inches. It doesn't directly fit on the brackets for older DOORKING actuators. We designed the rear bracket to easily be able to remove the operator from the rear bracket. You don't have to actually remove the bracket in order to pull the arm off. You disconnect the operator from the front bracket, and then when you tilt down the operator about 45 degrees, then we can lift up the operator and still keep the bracket, the rear bracket connected to the gate, to the gate post. So this is the rear bracket. That's military grade steel, so it's very, very hard and durable. So we come at it at an angle. When we insert it, then it locks in when we rotate it. So that allows us to pull the arm off without having to undo any of that rear bracket. It comes with a, it's not a plastic piece anymore. It's a
It's brass.
brass kind of bushing to keep everything, that rear bracket, tight. One thing that we notice with our older operators is that it didn't matter how much we tightened all the bolts and screws. There was a lot of play in those operators. So we took steps to get rid of that with this operator. So we added all these small things that kept the operator from having that play, which in the long run helps with the motor and the gearing, all that, keeping not wearing out so quickly. So once you have this operator mounted and everything is tight, you're not going to have any play in that operator.
So if I can interject a little bit, Jimmy,
Mhm.
that piece is a big failure point in most operators. So that's one of the reasons why we went to this brass piece. Most of them are plastic, they break. Not only is it a stronger piece, but there's also multiple holes or positions on those. So if that does wear out years down the road from just a lot of use, you can actually remove that and flip it and use the other brand new holes and keep going forward with that.
Right. Yeah, great point. Yes. The front, the traveler part of the actuator, this is where the magnet is, right? So it's moving back and forth. The magnet's going to hit the limits, the magnetic sensors. But this is a cool design, right? We have an Allen screw and then a nut around it, right? You can get a really good tight squeeze on that nut, and again, helping with that play, right? Getting a real tight connection there. So this is how you would tighten that. That's the bracket that would weld to the gate, and the traveler mounts to that. We can mount it up at the top, in the middle, or at the bottom, anywhere you have a cross member, a nice strong connection for that front bracket. That's where we want to have the operator. Now, if you do mount it at the bottom, you won't have that ability to remove the operator by tilting it down 45 degrees, right? You'll hit the ground. So just keep that in mind. So at the bottom is your limits, right? In order to set the limits, you manually release the arm so you can freely move the gate. The board has LEDs. So as you're swinging the gate open and close, when you reach those limits, you'll see the LEDs come on the board. Okay. If you needed to stop a little shorter, then you adjust the limit and then you bring the arm back to make sure the light comes on at the correct spot, right? So very easy to adjust the limits, right? You just need a small Allen wrench and be able to move those limits back and forth on the bottom side of that arm. That's how that looks. So here's a video of one of, it's actually the director of sales' house. This is the actuator for his gate. So the control box, the AC versions of it, we have the standard box and the deluxe box. The standard box is the one you see here on the left. It's just the board with some small batteries. So you do have a little bit of battery backup with these systems, not a ton. They're small batteries. And then to the right, you have the deluxe, which has outlets at the bottom. Okay. So you can plug in transformers. So this is the AC versions of it, and we already saw the solar versions of it. Okay. The operator comes with a pigtail. I forget how long the pigtail is, but it's got 7 wires, and the 7 wires connect to the board. Right, the board has a primary and secondary terminals for the operators. We've made quite a bit of changes since we first launched the actuator. We've learned a lot from operators coming back from the field after having beta sites. So we've added better strain relief on where the pigtail comes out of from the actuator. We've also made changes to the front, and I don't have it here, to that front traveler. We made changes to that to have a better fit and have less wear on that. It's got the board has the UL terminals, so it does require a UL listed photo eye or edge to be connected to the board in order for it to function. And we have an input for a closed beam, right, or a beam that's only going to be functional when the gate is closing, and a beam or an edge input that's functional in both directions, open and close. So these are just different options on what you can connect to that UL terminal. Have 3-sided edges that you can connect. You can have a wireless edge connected to it. Whatever device you want to go with for that particular gate system, you can connect to our board. Our main terminal strip, pretty straightforward. You have your 24-volt input, all your opening inputs, all your reversing inputs, all your commons, all that's there for you. All this is in the manual too. You can go through the manual and see where everything can connect, all the terminals that you can use for the devices you're gonna have. All of our boards have a separate fire input that's required per UL. So that's where someone asked on the previous presentation where emergency vehicles, what device and where they connect. Whatever device they're using to gain access to a gate system through a gate operator, the gate operator should have an input for that, specifically for that. Okay, whether that's a firebox, a Knox key, whatever other device the emergency vehicles require for that location, for that area. It's got inputs for loop detectors. It's got 2 inputs, one for open, for free exit, and one for reverse or shadow. It's got the AC version of it has got a step down transformer, and so that's where you would come in with your 115, right? And then the step down transformer brings that down to 24 volts for the board. The board works on 24 volts. And again, in the manual, we have all of the dip switch settings. All right, this is where you would set how the operator is going to work. If you want the gate to push open or pull open, right? If you want primary, secondary, if you want the overlap feature, if you're going to be using the mag lock, right? All those are switches that you can set. The board has a reverse sensitivity adjustment, or an ERD, or you know, people call it different things. That it does the same thing, right? It monitors the current draw for the motor. So the more sensitive you set it, the least amount of force that you need to put on the gate for it to stop and reverse. If you make it with no sensitivity or not sensitive at all, then it's going to take a lot more force for the gate to stop and reverse. And depending in the area you're in, you might have to adjust that a couple times a year, right? If you do see all 4 seasons, you at least want to do 2 adjustments a year, one for summer and one for winter, right? As we know, metal expands and contracts with the changing in temperature. So a setting for summertime may not work for winter time. All right, and that's just a little potentiometer setting on the board. So this is how the operator looks with the cover off. And I'll show you a video here. This is in our training, our our tech support area. It's not running, there we go. So you can do this in the field if you want to look at the internals and be able to see if there's anything wrong with the gears, with the motor shaft, with the output shaft. There's the slowdown. It starts slow and then it speeds up. Slow down and stop. And it's just a couple again of those bolts that you need to undo from the bottom to be able to get that cover off. And we have a breakdown of all the parts. Again, all these parts are field replaceable, and each part has a part number etched onto it, so you'll know exactly what you need to replace if you need to replace it. That's the filter that I was talking about to eliminate any noise coming from the DC motor and getting to the board. It's just a close-up of the gear. Now, I mentioned that the shaft is Teflon coated, so it doesn't need any oil or any grease. But the output shaft of the motor and the gears within that that does need grease. But it's compartmentalized, if you can tell with that in that picture. The grease from that compartment with the shaft and the gears is not going to get through to the shaft. It's going to stay within that compartment. And that's a close look of the traveler and the output shaft. And there's a little bit of grease on that front bushing. Again, it's within that compartment. That grease is not going to get on the shaft. And to I need to update this. It was a little bit difficult to put the cover back on. That little lever there you see right above the motor shaft would have to stick up, and we would have to hold it up with a screwdriver in order to put the cap on. But now there's mechanisms there to hold that shaft up without having to use a screwdriver. Yeah, now we don't have to do that moving the gate. It's got a mechanism to hold that pin up. That's it. That's it. So we're excited for this actuator. We've had it out now for a few years. It's not super brand new, but again, we're very proud that we designed the operator ourselves with knowing everything that we learned from the other actuators that we've worked with in the past. Victor, do we have any questions?
We do have one question. Is there a power up delay, or is there a power up delay?
No. The board power, as soon as it gets the input, the board powers up, and all the devices power up instantaneously. So there is really no observable delay where you're sitting there, you press the button, and you're just sitting there for 5-10 seconds for the gate to start opening. It's going to open almost instantaneously.
Thank you, Jimmy. And that was the last question, but then we'll be here a couple of minutes more. So please
Sure.
send us any other question or comment. And we thank you, Jimmy, for sharing this valuable information about DOORKING. And thank you, everyone, for joining this morning. And also, I want to invite April Rodriguez, who is our sales manager for USA here at AppCom. So she can tell you more about the services that we have at AppCom, as well as our DKS products. So give me one moment so she can join in the mic.
Can you hear me?
Now we can hear you.
Yes.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Abril Rodriguez. I'm the sales manager for AppCom, and I just wanted to thank everybody for attending this webinar and taking the time to learn about these products. Also, thank you, Jimmy and Paul, for taking the time to teach us about the products. And of course, I wanted to let everybody know that we do have these products in stock. They're available for immediate delivery. And if you're wondering about pricing, you can go ahead and log in to our website, or you can also contact your sales rep for more information. We also have physical brochures and digital brochures in case that you guys need some for your customers, so you can spread the word around and sell a lot of these. And also, I wanted to tell everybody, just a friendly reminder, we do have engineers that can assist you or give you tips for projects for DOORKING. And we also have a lot of stock of DOORKING products that we can provide you with. And that's it. I just wanted to thank everybody for your preference and your business. And if you have any questions, by all means, please let us know.
Thank you so much, April. So now we're gonna be here a couple of minutes more, and if you want to send us a question about these products or any other product from DOORKING, we'll be happy to answer them. And
Hey, Victor?
Also, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, let me just talk a little bit about the just DOORKING and the different products. What you saw right now is just the tip of the iceberg of what we sell, what we manufacture, right? We have residential, small commercial, full-blown access control systems. telephone entry systems that we manufacture, right? We're really a one-stop shop when it comes to products that you're going to need for an application, whether that's on the telephone entry system side, access control side, or gate operator side, right? We run from the small all the way to the super big, right? So consider us with any application you might be quoting with a customer. Look at our product line. We think you'll be happy with what we have to offer with all of our products that we have.
Thank you so much, Jimmy. And well, I think now we're ready to close the webinar. We'll be sending the information for this webinar to your email, as well as the recording of the webinar. We are also going to be uploading it to our EPCOM channel, EPCOM USA, and YouTube, so you can check it out there too. Well, thank you everyone for your time this morning. Thank you so much, Jimmy, for sharing all this information with us. Thank you, Paul, for your time this morning, and we hope to see you in our next sessions.
All right, thanks everyone.
Take care, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye. Thank you.